Welcome to Afghanews with Mohsen Jamal. The United States Embassy in Afghanistan marked the 10th anniversary of the September 11 attacks in remembrance of the victims and those who sacrificed their lives in the subsequent war on terror. The 9/11 attacks in 2001 killed about 3,000 people in the United States. The U.S. Ambassador for Afghanistan, Ryan Crocker, said their sacrifices made America, Afghanistan, and the world a safer place. International Security Assistance Force Commander General John Allen said that the attacks were an act of inhuman brutality and terrorism on a scale not seen before. The military operation that followed the 9/11 attacks started 10 years of the U.S. led a force to pacify one of the world's most turbulent countries, but Afghanistan still faces a Taliban insurgency that has not been quelled. A suicide bomber driving a truck attacked an advanced NATO combat post in central Afghanistan, wounding 102 people, including 77 American soldiers, the United States Army said on Sunday. The Taliban claimed responsibility on their internet site for Saturday's attack, news of which came as the world marked the 10th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks that killed almost 3,000 people in the United States. U.S. Army spokesman Major David Burns said that it happened at 5:15 p.m. on Saturday. It detonated near the entry point at a combat outpost, resulting in 102 wounded in action and a 20-foot hole in the wall. NATO's International Security Assistance Force said in a statement that a Taliban suicide bomber detonated a large vehicle-borne improvised explosive device at the entrance of combat outpost Saidabad, Wardak province Saturday. Major Burns said 77 American soldiers were among the injured. 6 of 9 Afghans employed by a local U.S. contracted building company and kidnapped earlier this week were found shot dead Saturday. Local officials said the 6 were among a group taken hostage on Tuesday in Logar province in the south of the war-torn country, while the fate of 3 others kidnapped at the same time remains unknown. Abdul Khalil Kamal, governor of Charkh district, said the 9 Afghans were kidnapped on September 6th by the Taliban while they were on their way to work for a local construction company subcontracted by the U.S. Army, Kamal said, without giving the name of the company. Logar Provincial Police Chief Ghulam Sakhir Lewani confirmed that the 6 bodies were recovered in 2 different places with gunshot wounds to the chest, head or back of the neck. Local Taliban commander Naim Kharouti denied any involvement in the kidnapping and murders. A total of 12 insurgents have been killed and 22 captured in operations launched by security forces in different parts of the country over the past 24 hours, the Interior Ministry said on Sunday. A statement released by the Interior Ministry added that 3 were also injured as a result of 11 joint and independent operations launched by Afghan National Police with the assistance of Army and coalition forces over the past 24 hours in Laghman, Kandahar, Helmand, Logar, Paktika, Baghlan and Paktia provinces. A handful of weapons and ammunition were also discovered and seized by ANP, it added. In another development, militants shot and killed Mudir Asadullah, the commander of local police forces in Saidabad area of Nath Ali district in the southern Helmand province earlier Sunday. Habibullah Shamalani, district chief of Nath Ali, said he accused Taliban for attack, adding no one was injured in the incident. A roadside bomb killed 6 civilians, including 2 women, and wounded 9 more when the device hit their vehicle in Barmal district of southeastern Paktika province on Saturday. The provincial governor office said in a statement. Elsewhere, a soldier from the NATO-led International Security Assistance Force was killed in an insurgent attack in eastern Afghanistan on Saturday. The coalition said in a statement but gave no other details. In Gortepa district of northern Kunduz province, 5 civilians, including 3 children, were killed when their car hit a homemade bomb on Sunday. Muhammad Aslam, a police officer, said. Meanwhile, the governor office in Paktika province said that Afghan and ISAF troops killed 5 insurgents overnight as they were planting a roadside bomb on a main road in Yusuf Khail district. Commemorative events have begun in the United States to mark the 10th anniversary of the September 11, 2001 attacks and pay tribute to the thousands who died on that day. U.S. President Barack Obama on Sunday would visit New York, where hijackers flew airliners into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, as well as the Pentagon, also targeted by hijackers, and Pennsylvania, where a 4th passenger jet crashed into the ground near the town of Shanksville. George W. Bush, the former president who was in office 10 years ago, would join Obama in New York for a memorial ceremony at the site of the World Trade Center shortly before 8:40 a.m. local time, when the first tower was struck. The ceremony will also mark the public opening of two memorial poles on the former footprints of the two World Trade Center buildings. Meanwhile, in Shanksville, Joe Biden, the vice president, former Presidents Bush and Bill Clinton were present at a somber ceremony honoring the passengers and crew of hijacked Flight 93. Muqtada Sadr, Iraq's Shiite radical leader, has ordered his followers not to attack U.S. troops before the completion of their pull-out from the country, which is scheduled by the end of the year. But Sadr, whose political movement is a key ally to Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki's fragile coalition mix of Shiites, Sunnis and Kurds, warned that military operations would resume and would be severe if U.S. forces did not depart on time. He said Iraq could regain its independence only when U.S. forces had left the country. Last July, Major General Jeffrey Buchanan, a spokesman for U.S. troops in Iraq, accused three Shiite armed groups of being behind attacks on U.S. troops. The new U.S. Army chief warned on Thursday against leaving too large a force in Iraq after a year-end deadline, saying too many soldiers on the ground could feed the perception of an American occupation. Nabil al-Arabi, the head of the Arab League, says he has reached an agreement on reforms in Syria during talks with President Bashar al-Assad. Al-Arabi met the president and other senior officials in Damascus on Saturday. After the meeting, al-Arabi told journalists in Egypt that he had urged Assad to speed up reform plans through a timetable that will make every Syrian citizen feel that he has moved to a new stage. The state-run Syrian news agency Sana said al-Arabi had affirmed the Arab League's rejection of all forms of foreign interference in Syrian internal affairs, and that the two leaders had agreed on a number of practical steps for speeding up the reform process in Syria. According to information leaked to the media earlier this week about al-Arabi's visit, he was to call for withdrawal of troops and tanks from Syrian cities and towns and to push for elections to be held within 3 years. In that heavy fighting is raging for the control of three key Libyan towns after a deadline set for the surrender of loyalists of Muammar Gaddafi expired. Fighters aligned with the National Transitional Council are seeking to raise control of Bani Walid, set in Sabha, from Gaddafi loyalists after the latter chose to ignore the deadline for surrender on Saturday. With talks aimed at peaceful handover of the Gaddafi stronghold collapsing, NTC chairman Mustafa Abdul Jalil, the interim leader of the country, said on Saturday afternoon the situation was in the hands of his battlefield commanders. Abdullah Kanshil, the NTC's spokesman and chief negotiator, said the anti-Gaddafi fighters were exchanging fire with gunmen positioned in houses in the town of Bani Walid in the hills that overlooked it. Amid the continued fighting, NATO carried out at least 5 air raids on the town. And that's all for now. Thanks for staying with us.